All right, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Keith. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you can hear me okay and see my screen okay with the PowerPoint. Hey Linda, good to see you. All right, well, we'll get started here. Folks are filtering in, but looking forward to this presentation. So I've been using Heikin-Ashi now for quite a while. And those of you that have watched some of my presentations know that my number one go-to is seasonality, right? But with that, and today we're not going to talk about seasonality for a couple reasons. One, we only have an hour and I want to keep it focused. But two, Heikin-Ashi, if you're not familiar with it, you will be after today. But what's really cool about it is it can be a standalone process as well. Okay, it can be its own trading system. And so again, I love combining seasonality with Heikin-Ashi, but there's times I don't. For example, if I'm day trading, I don't really care about seasonality. Okay, if I'm trading off of a 1 hour versus a daily or a weekly, that's a difference. So today I'm really going to show you some stuff about Heikin-Ashi, but more importantly, probably show you something that you've never seen before, even if you follow Heikin-Ashi. Something I've tested and have played with now for quite a while that to me, I haven't seen it talked about anywhere, and it's super powerful. So I'm looking forward to today's presentation. I just absolutely love Heikin-Ashi, so it's always good to talk about something that you're passionate about, right? Before we get started though, again, just go ahead and read the important disclosure notice. The bottom line here is, folks, that you should never risk money you can't afford to lose. This is for educational purposes, and you should always talk with your financial advisor before you look at it and make a trading plan, because that's very, very important. So we should never understate that. Okay, so with that, folks, we're going to talk about Heikin-Ashi. We're going to just do a few minutes of PowerPoints. I don't love PowerPoints. I love to go to live charts. And then I do have a couple special offers at the end, okay? So to me, what looks better? Meaning, if you look over here, right here, this is a regular price candle. And so, you get more red, green, maybe some more indecision points here. Hey, should I stay in this trade? Versus when you're looking at Heikin-Ashi, to me, it's much easier and smoother, okay? Now, does that mean every single time if you use Heikin-Ashi candles, you're going to make more money than using regular price? No, you can, but no, that's not what I'm getting at, not every time. What I'm going to show you today, though, is my trading system and how I manage trades and how I find trades in any time frame that you want, whether you trade off of a tick chart, a 1 minute, a 5 minute, or a monthly, or in between. Okay, you can use Heikin-Ashi for that. Okay, so for me, I don't even look at regular price candles. I haven't in quite a while for a couple of reasons. One, we love programming, right? And so within this candle, so these are Heikin-Ashi candles here. These are the Heikin-Ashi, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But within that, I had a programmed, and many of you have this, and so there will be I'm going to show you something new today if you've been following me and have all kinds of my Heikin-Ashi stuff, okay? I do have a special treat. But the white bar here is the actual open of price. The red is closed. So you can keep a Heikin-Ashi candle, but still know what actual price did. That's really important to me. Before I had this program, what I was doing was, flipping back and forth. Okay, yeah, this is a green candle, but where did price open and close, right? Because you can have green Heikin-Ashi, like right here. Let me clear this up for a second. So you see right here, you have a green Heikin-Ashi candle, right? But it actually closed lower than the open, meaning if you were just looking at a regular price candle, it would be red, okay? And so I'm going to explain why to me that's important here in just a minute. So let's focus on, and if you want to literally, for you engineers out there, right? If you literally want to know the formulas, it's very easy to Google Heikin-Ashi and understand what it is. I'm a professor at heart, okay? I've got my PhD in finance. I like to teach simplicity because that's how I trade. So I'm going to give you big picture what this stuff is, but if you want more details in the weeds, you can absolutely find it on the internet, okay? But Heikin-Ashi, what it does, folks, is it averages price data to create a Japanese candlestick chart, okay? And the main reason why I use it is it filters out market noise. And the reason why I like that is, I'm going to say this probably 20 times today. When I'm trading, I aim for this: small losses, small wins, and then you'll get some big wins. Okay. So very fancy, right? SLSWBW, right? But small losses, small wins, that'll happen. And this happens a lot of the time, right? But think about it. If you get small wins and small losses throughout your trading year, right? And let's say this comes out to break even, okay? If you have some big wins, okay, then that's how you build wealth. And when I'm mentoring folks, you know, the one thing I always come back to is, what are your goals? You know, do you want to do this long term? Because what we've all done, okay, and it's been years now, but I have done it too. When you have a loser, what do? Well, it's going to turn around. So you hold it, and then you hold it some more. And maybe even, which is even bad for you, even that first time you tried it, maybe it did turn around, you turned it into a winner and you said, ha, I knew it, right? I knew it would turn around. And then it happens again 3 times in a row and it never turns around, and you have to stop trading for a while to refund your account, right? We've all been there. We've all done it at some point, more than likely. If not, you're very lucky, okay? Or you haven't traded live money yet. But anyway, so the cool thing about Heikin-Ashi is instead of using open, high, low, and close prices like standard candlesticks, the Heikin-Ashi technique uses a modified formula based on 2-period moving averages. So those of you that know about moving averages, right, by definition, it's a little more laid back. And so it not only allows me to get into a trade very simply, it allows me then to stay and manage that trade even more simply. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. And then more importantly, how do you find these and how can you make money doing that? Okay, so that's the goal for today. The bottom line though is Heikin-Ashi will give you a smoother appearance, which makes it easier to spot trends and reversals. Again, it's been a while since I've used regular price candles only. So I forget at times that most people use regular price candles. So again, I'm just here to show you today why I like Heikin-Ashi so much better than regular price candles, okay? So remember, Heikin-Ashi price bars are average. They don't show exact open and close prices for a particular time period. But as I mentioned in the previous slide, what I've done was programmed the actual open and close over here so that I can just keep on one chart what the Heikin-Ashi, using the Heikin-Ashi formula, yet knowing what actual price did on that particular day or week or month or 5-period, 5-minute chart, whatever you're looking at there, okay? Okay. So again, this is what I did programmed wise. This is a Heikin-Ashi chart, but then the actual price, the white is the open, which is all customizable. The red is the close. So you can see in this case, okay, what we're going to talk about today though is, how does that, within the Heikin-Ashi, can you kind of read a candle and does it mean more? Okay, that's kind of one of the surprises we're going to talk about today. And then because I like simplicity, I've created some Heikin-Ashi dots, which again, a lot of you already have this product and this product, that then allows you to go back and say, okay, I got in on a green, I exited on a red, how did I do? Okay, or vice versa. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. The bottom line though is when we start going through and I show you some examples here, where most traders have struggled isn't entering the market. Okay, most traders are pretty decent at entering the market, but then once they're in there, they have no idea what they're doing at all. And so what I'm going to show you today is how I manage trades. And the bottom line is usually you're going to make about 80% of the entire move that happens, and that's really good. Okay, that's really good. And so in this case, I just wanted to show you an example. If you enter on a green Heikin-Ashi and you exit on a red, so once it turns back to red here, okay, if that's your entry, you stay into that trade until you get a green. Okay, that's the real basic level. Okay, I do a little bit more advanced, which you'll see where, to me, a real trend change is when when you get two, like let's say we were green here, when you get two red in a row, that to me is a defined trend change. That's my entry. Or vice versa, if you're in a downtrend and it's red and then it turns around and you get two green, then that's the entry. Okay. Also exiting. I want to try to wait until the second green candle in this case. Why is that? Because I want to try to stay into this trade as long as I can. And many times you'll get a 1-bar reversal, then it'll come right back down in that trend direction. So I like to see two green Heikin-Ashi in order to get out of a trade if you were short, and vice versa if you were long. Okay. And again, you can use this on any time frame, just like regular price candles. Now, one of the new strategies I'm going to show you today happens to do with the actual Heikin-Ashi candle. So if you look at this candle where I have the arrow right here, you notice there's no wick, right? There's a wick here. Everybody would agree, right? But there's no wick here. And what I've noticed is when you get an opportunity where you go from a consolidation or any direction, and then all of a sudden you get the opposite color Heikin-Ashi and there's no wick on the bottom in this case, right? That's a really good entry, in this case long. Again, no matter what time frame, it doesn't matter what time frame this candle is, right? And so if you entered, it would be at the close of this bar, is usually how I do it, okay? And then so if you entered at the open, and you can see the white bar is the open price right here, where do you exit? Well, based on my rules, you exit the entire trade is right here at the close of this bar, okay? So this is your profit right here. But as you can see, you'll see very effective rules, very easy to follow, right? And so if you're a swing trader, for example, let's say, you trade off the daily chart. Well, all that means is that when you're in a trade, at the end of the day, you just go and say, okay, do I have two red candles? Now, if you do, you can get out at the open of the next day, right? Remember, you want small losses. You'll get some small wins, but then you'll get some of those big wins. And this is what grows the account, okay? This is just the small losses, small wins is just cost of doing business when you're trading. But the big wins is what builds wealth, okay? And that's the mentality you have to have. Even if this would have turned right back around after this third red, it turned around, okay? You're okay. You have a system, you had a small loss. Well, in this case, you made money, but let's say you had a small loss, you can always get back in. I'm going to show you all that in live charts, okay? Again, I really prefer the live charts, but I wanted to set the stage on what we're looking for here, okay? But one of my new scans will show you when you have these flat bottoms, so you would get in on the next candle. The beautiful thing is, if you're in this trade, you would exit, in my opinion, on the second red, which again, I will show you how you can do that. But look at all these flat bottoms in a row, okay? There was no reason to exit this trade. No reason at all. All right, so let's take a look at some live charts here. All right, so I kept my chart simple for today because again, Heikin-Ashi can be used on its own. So the only indicators I have on here is my Heikin-Ashi with the actual price, open and close, right? And then you'll see these dots, which most of you know about, but we'll talk about these as well. These are the Heikin-Ashi dots that I created. Other than that, I just plotted a 9-period moving average, okay? And that's really for me just to see, you know, how, to me, it's easy to see, okay, that's in a downtrend, you know, this is an uptrend, okay? You don't even really need to plot a moving average though, okay? I just did just to show you, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And so let me just kind of explain here what we're looking for. So when you're looking to take a trade, you know, like this is Tesla, just to show you off the daily chart. We can change it to any time frame. But, you know, down here, when, you know, let's say you're just waiting for a trade, and then right here, you see that Heikin-Ashi candle with no wick. Okay, that is absolutely something that would get your interest now. And so if you like that entry, and that would show up on my newest scan that we're going to talk about, that could be your entry. Okay, and then what do? You stay in it until you get the close of 2 red candles. You see that? Which, by the way, that's what these Heikin-Ashi dots are for down here. You don't even have to count to 2. You just wait until the dot turns red, and then that's your exit. Meaning, you see this yellow dot, you stay in the trade. See this yellow dot? You stay in the trade. Yellow just means you have 1 reversal candle. Okay, I'm not getting out on those. I'm waiting for 2. I want to stay into this trade as long as I can by following my rules, and that's my exit point. Okay, and again, what you'll notice is, so you get a green dot, this is your entry, this is your profit right here. But again, very easy to know, okay, this is my exit point at the close or the open of the next bar, and this was your profit right here, okay? But more importantly, let's say this went against you, okay? Let's say you get in and then it goes against you. All I'm looking for is to get out same way when you get a red dot. So when you get a red dot here, which would be in this case 2 red Heikin-Ashis, that's your exit point. It didn't happen in this case, but if it did, again, that'll keep you having small losses. Sometimes you'll just have small wins, right? You'll get like a few, 3 or 4 of these, and then you'll get a couple red, you know, and you're only up a few dollars, but then some, you'll get some extremely big wins, okay? The market, believe it or not, can actually trend really, really nicely. And so your goal is take those small losses, take those small wins. Then when you hit it right, maximize those wins. Don't just say, well, geez, you know, I think it went up to right here. I think this is good enough, right? No, that's not good enough. If this would have went from, at the time, 990 all the way up to like 2000, right? You don't know at this point. What you do know is Heikin-Ashi is still very bullish. Look at all these flat bottoms. And what I mean, again, when I say flat bottoms, there's no wicks, right? Like here's a wick today, right? On this Tesla, here's a wick. But when you get, especially when they continue to align in front of each other, okay, that's very, very bullish activity, okay? And it's the same on the downside here. That can be very, very bearish activity. And so, you know, there's different ways to enter the markets. If you use Heikin-Ashi though, you know, you'll be able to find trades every day, and then you can decide based on your risk reward levels if it's a good fit for you, okay? All right, so again, just so you understand these indicators, the dots just correspond to the color of the Heikin-Ashi up top here, okay? Except when you get a yellow, it's a potential reversal, because in this case, it was green and went back to yellow, meaning the candle up here is red. But for me, I wait to exit the trade on the second. So when you get in on a green, you look for a red. When you get on in a red, you look for a green, okay? Very, very simple, but it also allows you to go back and take a look at some of these, right? So let me just change Tesla to let's go to a 5-minute chart. okay? So let's look at let's look at the open today. So you can see here is a good entry, right? Red dot, flat top. Okay, so again, if you entered here, again, I don't usually enter right at 9:30, but I'm just showing you for that, right? It means you would enter here at the open. Okay, if you entered here, right, you're making some good coin, hit the low there, and then you got your red dot, or sorry, your green dot right there. So this is the amount of money, right? From the entering here to exiting here, this is your profit. Okay, usually it's going to be roughly 80% of the entire move. Okay, what we don't know going into the trade is the entire move, right? So when you have your wins, you're usually going to maximize those wins nicely. Okay. And then if you look here, you say, okay, now we're getting a green Heikin-Ashi, flat bottom, no wick, right? So, okay, this could be the enter of the next candle, right? And this was just a little move up. And then all of a sudden you get two red. Okay, so this is what I would call a small win. And I'm not complicating things today. I'm just saying you get in and you get out, green to red. Many people, including myself at times, will say, if I'm up on an option play, for example, 50%, I take half of my position on. Okay, that way, when it comes back down on some of these, you already made money on 50%, and then you have a small win on the other. Okay, today I'm just trying to show you big picture, and you can be profitable just by exiting, on those rules that I've defined for you. Okay, but again, you can see right here. So right here, you go back to green right here, and you may say, I'm going to wait for the next flat bottom though, because this one, it's just kind of been consolidating for a few minutes. So then you enter on the first flat bottom. Let's say that's your strategy, which I like to use. You can see here, then where's your exit? Right here. Okay, so this is your profit. But again, it's very simple rules, and that's great, right? I think simplicity for people is a great strategy, because then you're just not thinking about it too much, right? But it has to be effective, right? You could have the simplest strategy in the world, but if it doesn't make you money, then it's worthless, right? And you can do that on anything at any time frame. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the daily now. So let me show you a couple past, and then I'll ask for some volunteers to give me some stocks, and we'll take a look, or futures or forex. But so this is a trade. Let's type in. These are some recent ones that have some nice trends. Okay. All right, so look at VRTX here. Okay, you can see here that right here you have the green Heikin-Ashi dot. Okay, so that's your potential entry. Okay, so again, this is your entry right here, which would be the next bar at the open. So right here is your entry. Now you just wait. This is the daily chart in this example. So every day, at the end of the day, you just look, and as long as it's green, you stay in, right? So all of a sudden, right here, 3 weeks later or so, you got your two red candles right here. So you're out at the open right here. Okay. Again, these won't happen every trade, right? We with. But remember, if you're getting big wins, but then the rest are small losses and smaller wins, these are what grow your account. Okay, but look how easy this is to then just stay in the trade. You don't have to twist and turn and say, okay, heck, this thing went up to 260, it's time to get out. Well, if you did just because you thought that was time to get out, look at all this money you gave up, right? You want to maximize those wins, folks. Okay, you absolutely want to maximize those wins. That's how you beat the market, because we're all going to have losses. We're all going to have small wins. But when you can maximize these, okay, and yes, you can go in then the other direction if you want. So all of a sudden, now, I didn't take this short for one reason. When you're in a massive trend, okay, I don't like to go against the grain. You certainly can, because you're going to, if you lose this, you're going to have just a small loss using the red dot theory, okay? But I would rather wait for the next green, if that makes sense, and then I'll go long again. right? Follow the trend, right? Today's class isn't about trends, but remember the trend is our friend, and the trend meets the trend means a lot, right? It really does, because it's the institutions, the big money that creates these trends. So we want to follow that, okay? But let me be clear. When this went to a red dot right here, okay, you could have went short, and all you say is, if I get two green in a row, and here, the next day you're like, oh shoot, I'm going to be stopped out of this. The next day, if this would have closed green right here, you would have been out the next morning, right? But it didn't. And so you're actually making money on this now. But let's say this would have turned around, this would have closed green, and you're out here, right? Call that a small loss. So you can do that, absolutely. I'm just not going to go against a trend like that in my personal trading. I think that's riskier. But who knows how big the retracement is going to be now. It does kind of seem like we have a lot of support right here, though. So we may have a good entry coming up here in the near future, but we have earnings as well. Okay. All right, let me bring up another example. So GSK, and I wanted to show this for a couple reasons. One, again, you never know going into a trade, right? But let's say you shorted this. You see the short play right here. Okay, and look at that. No green dot until right here. So this was your exit point right here. So enter, exit. This is the profit from the short play. You see that? Then you can turn around if you want to and say, okay, now I've got a green dot. Again, what I look for is this. These flat bottoms, these are super powerful. Okay, it doesn't mean the next day is going to go straight up, but it tells you we probably definitely have a trend change there. Okay, and then you can see it kept climbing, and then where's the exit point? Right here. Okay, so this right here is all profit. But what you can do is look to find these flat bottoms. And so let's say you miss this, right? You can go in on the next one or the next one or the next one in this case. They just kept having these no wick flat bottom Heikin-Ashi candles, right? Or let's say you're in during consolidation and then you're like, okay, bam, another flat bottom right here. Even that is a nice little win right there. Okay, so my favorite way to enter is off the dot. Some of you, again, that have followed me for a while know that I also like to use the Laguerre oscillator as my checkpoint as well. The reason I'm not showing that today is just because I'm just focusing on Heikin-Ashi today. If you want to use an oscillator as well to make sure that there's agreement with your oscillator, for example, let's say you just want to even use MACD. Okay, I'll put it on here for just a minute. Okay, bear with me. Let me move this up. So if you were using a MACD cross, right here's your entry, right? Here's your short. So you can do that. Okay, I use a Laguerre RSI trigger as well most of the time, but Heikin-Ashi, just using the Heikin-Ashi colors, okay, is very, very powerful. And again, if you're just using it for your risk, if you know when to get out of a trade and you have small losses, then that's really how you're going to generate that wealth. Who cares if you're wrong, right? You just don't want to be wrong all the time. And then so reason I look at this one now. So now earnings is over. Now today we got a green dot again, right? So we were in an uptrend. We had that retracement. Now we're getting a long play again. So, if you enter here, right, what's the plan? Stay in it until you get two red Heikin-Ashis, which will paint a red dot down here. Okay. So more than likely, this is what it'll be. This trade will either be a small loss, right? You notice how I don't have any BLs, any big losses, because unless there's a huge gap, which can certainly happen, right? And it goes like this in a couple of days. If that happens, you could have a bigger loss. But let's be honest, most of the time that doesn't happen, right? So you're going to have small losses. You're going to have some big wins, which is what we really shoot for. But then also you'll have some small wins as well. Okay. Yeah, so can you show day trading charts? Of course. So what would you like to look at on a chart for for like and tell me the time frame, and we'll take a look at that. We'll look and see what time frames you're looking for, like a 5 minute, 1 minute. Okay, sure. So let me type in the ES, the S&P, and let me change this to 1 minute. Okay. So what do you have here? You know, here's a nice one right here where it went back to green here. And then your exit point is right there. Okay. So this is your profit. And, you know, you can see we've been in a more of an uptrend today. So I'm definitely preferencing long plays. Okay. Then you can look here. You know, a 1 minute chart, right? Your risk is a little bit unique. But, you know, even when you go back from red back to green here, right? These are all profitable. And if they're not going to be, let me see here. So here you went back to green right here. Granted, this time of day, you're not usually, I'm not trading this, but let's just, who cares, right? The bottom line is, you see, if you enter here, you get 2 red, you see, this is your small loss, okay? Now, again, I'm not usually trading the S&P after lunch, except for the last hour, maybe if there's volatility, okay? Yeah, we can take a look at like crude as well, sure. Let me go back to start of the day here. All right, so right around 10 o'clock there, went back to green right here. But again, regardless of, right, here's a beautiful thing. If you're in this trade, see all these flat bottoms? Look at all of them. Absolutely stick in that trade, okay? And then when you get the 2 red, right, here's the red dot, which is the exit point. Here's your out, okay? So this is your potential, okay? But once you're in the trade, you just wait. You know, you just wait. Yeah, let's take a look at, sure, a 5 minute chart. That's what I day trades off of 5 minute. Okay, so on a 5 minute chart today, you can see here, you know, very, very bullish candle here. Right at the, what is today? Thursday, the crude report. Oh, no, that was natural gas, I think, today. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so, you know, you can look at these areas, and if you entered, right, where would you have exited, right? This is where these dots come in really handy. You can just quickly go back and look to see, right? And in a sideways day, if price is doing this, you're going to have some small losses, some small wins, okay? But then some days you'll get those big wins as well, right? And that's the key, is have some of those big wins, okay? Yeah, let's take a look at Apple. Sure, you're day trading Apple. So Apple made a nice move today at lunch. Back to green. Here's your exit point. Let's see here. I'm just grabbing the chart to like 9:30 open. You got a lot of back and forth there, a lot of back and forth. Then you go back to 10 o'clock, 10:40, 10:45 is your enter. And so, you know, depending on your time frame and what you're looking for, okay. But again, what I like to do is, you'll see in my scans, my entries on these is when you've got the flat bottoms as well. Those are my favorite, okay, because those are bullish. And when you keep getting them, you're highly confident, okay, that price is going to continue in that direction, okay. Sure, I can show gold on a 2 minute, sure. Let's see, I gotta put that 2 minute. All right. So gold had just recently a nice move right here. and then the exit was 2 minutes ago, right? And again, you can say, okay, I'm now going to go in that other direction as well. Again, with that type of trend, I wouldn't, but you could, right? Because you know your rules, right? Your rules are, look at the flat top here on gold. So you're just going to stay in it until you get a green dot. Okay. Makes sense? All right, so what I want to do is I want to show you some of how I find these then. I mean, you can certainly just have your favorite stocks in that and your time frames, make a list and look that way. Absolutely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a scan here. And this one, which again, this is not a new product. Most of you have this, but yellow to red. Okay, so I'm looking for a daily yellow to red. Hit scan. And for example, Twitter's one that came up. Okay, so let me just show you Twitter. So what yellow to red means was this. It went from a yellow dot down here to a red, okay? So if you're looking for a trend change, you can run a scan every day and look for those trend changes. And again, the cool thing about scanning is you see where it says D for daily? I mean, you can change it any time frame you want. Okay, so you could do a 5-minute, whatever you want. Okay, I'm just going to focus on daily for right now. Or you can go, instead of yellow to red, let's go to yellow to green. I'm going to change this. By the way, with scans, you can change it to whatever you want to sort. And I'm going to pick stocks that have weekly expirations, but you can put anything you want here. And you can change the time frame here. Hit scan. And then these are all the ones that went yellow to green. So let me just grab one just to show you. Okay. See that? Back to green now. Okay. Beth, no, not yet. We're going to have a separate package for wealth charts. Yeah, not yet, though. It's not ready yet. Okay. So what you can do, those of you that aren't familiar with scans, so let's say you're looking just at the daily, but again, you can put 4-hour, 5-minute, whatever you like, right? You can then save this as a watch list. And you can call it like 428, and I'll call it yellow to green, right? 428 yellow to green, hit save. Then you can come over here, right here, click on this, and you got to find it. I have a bunch of them, so mine is much more complicated than most of yours, but here it is, 428 yellow to green, right? Then you can just kind of go through these. Okay, here's Babel, right? Why is it yellow to green? Because it went to yellow to green, right? So here's another great example. On the daily, this is the daily. Flat bottom today on Babel, right? Flat bottom. So that's my plan. If I was going to take this, and again, I don't love that this was a major trend. There's a little bit more risk there. But this seems to be a bottom as well. So regardless, if you take this, you have a plan, right? You're going to stay in it until you get a red dot, whether it's this price goes this way or this way, right? So you're either going to get a small loss more than likely, a small win, or a big win. What you're pretty much doing is eliminating that big loss. And when you can ride some of these trends, I mean, even if you enter this short back here on BABA, I mean, think about it. It was at 108, and then you would have exited roughly 88, okay? And that's beautiful, right? That's a beautiful trade just by following these rules, okay? No, this today's presentation is just for Thinkorswim. Yeah, just for Thinkorswim. Okay, now one other scan. This is the new one. Okay, so those of you that already have all my Heikin-Ashi toys, right? Let me show you. You're gonna love it. So I'm gonna load the scan. I'm going to change that to weekly stocks. You see Dr. K FTFB, which is flat top, flat bottom, off the daily, hit scan. So let's look at like Marathon Oil. Okay. Phillips. So when it has that no wick, okay, that could be an entry. So like back here on PSX, back here on January 3rd, okay, on the scan, that'll show up. So if you're looking for, you may have a list, again, you can do this for anything. So you can go back in here to scan. You can change this to S&P 100, 500, Forex futures, whatever you want, right? You may have a list of, 10 stocks you want. You create one and you do the scan on those to find out whichever time frame. You can change the time frame, but what it's looking for, again, that's what I really want to show you today, is it's looking for these right here, and these, okay, and these. It's finding these flat tops and these flat bottoms. That way, especially if it's in the direction of that trend, that you have a high likelihood, okay, that it's going to go in that direction now, for whatever time frame you have that on, okay? Yeah, we can do shorts as well. So let me just show you. This is a daily chart. Let me go back to, what was it recently? I think AMRC. Yeah, so this is one where you would still be in the trade. You see the red dot down here? So again, what is the stop loss? If you would have got 2 green dots, right? Or it's like 1 green dot or 2 green candles, never happened. So you see, you would still be in this trade. Look at all these flat tops, folks. Flat tops, flat tops, flat tops, okay? But you don't have to think about it, right? Yeah, you have earnings coming up, but other than that, right, you're just waiting for that green dot. You don't know when that is, okay? But look how great that is, that you just know, or, again, I can't stress it enough. I'm focusing on daily a little bit here, but, let's say you trade off the 1 hour, okay? You can do the same exact thing on that 1 hour, okay? Or you can go back to 4 hour. So if you entered on the 4 hour chart back here, you had a couple yellows, no green, no green, no green. You're still in that trade off that 4 hour. See that? But it gives you rules, okay? It gives you rules that are easy to follow, but just as importantly, very effective, okay? Very effective. Okay. You want to see another short? Sure. So let's see, what was a recent? Let me go back to the daily. I think it was SDP. So again, SDP was a nice short play right here. Okay, and then all of a sudden, green dot, you're out. So this is your money right here, okay? Then yeah, you can go right back to reversal, go long if you want. So I know a lot of you have like 10 to 15 stocks you love to trade. I trade anything as long as it has enough volume, obviously, and open interest for options. But yeah, I mean, if you're focusing on 10 or 15 stocks as well, you can do that. And yeah, so again, if you're looking at something like wheat futures, right? If you're lucky enough to get into this trade, you see how it really helps you out manage that. I mean, a lot of volatility there, okay? But even then, if you waited and exited right here, from here, that's a huge growth, right? And that was a very, very volatile situation with Russia. That's why. But let's look at it, like a Forex pair, like euro yen. Okay, right here. See that? Then your exit point is going to be right here. See all these flat bottoms? So it doesn't matter what you trade, whether it's futures, stocks, or Forex. Okay. But it's all about managing that trade, finding a high probability setup, and it's something that's really easy to manage. All right, I'll let you give some examples in just a second. So what I'm offering is if you have all my HeikinAshi stuff already, okay, then forget this slide. But if you don't have any of my HeikinAshi stuff, you basically get, I call it the ultimate bundle. You get everything I've showed you, the HeikinAshi candle with the regular price lines, right? You get the HeikinAshi dots, and you get all three of those scans, remember, which was the yellow to green, the yellow to red, and then I call it that fat top, fat bottom, right? That way, if you want to really look to get some high probability setups within those, you can do that. And this is going to be a lifetime access to this offer. So you get it, you only purchase it, there's only a one-time cost, okay? And this is the link, I will put it in the chat as well. So that's if you don't have any of my HeikinAshi stuff and you want it. Let me put that in the chat bar here, bear with me. Okay, I just put in the chat bar. Okay, so basically giving you half off today for the next 24 hours. Okay, now, if you already have all my HeikinAshi stuff and you want the newest product, which is that flat bottom, flat top scan, okay, today's special price is $3.99 for that scan. And so let me put that in there as well. Then we'll go back to live charts. So this is, I'm just going to put in there only the flat top, flat bottom scan right here. Yep, this is just for Thinkorswim. Yep, just for Thinkorswim toss. Yep. The cool thing about Thinkorswim, you don't have to, you can fund it for like $100 and you don't have to pay data fees. So it's fantastic charting, right? Okay. All right, so with that, let me go back to live charts now. So you got both of those links in that. Yeah, you want to look at CNP? Sure. So CNP was a good one. Obviously, the entry point was right here. But again, what's great about it is, see these 4 yellows in a row? That's indecisive. That's why I like to stay in on yellow. Some will get out on yellow. They're more conservative. I want to maximize that trend as long as I can. Okay. And then here's the exit point right here. Okay. I like to stay in trades as long as I can following these rules. That's why I don't like to get out on yellow dots. Okay. But some do. Some do, depending on your risk tolerance. Okay. No, not for Ninja, just for Thinkorswim. Mark says, when you have a flat top, either long or short off the open, when do you jump on that trade? The next day or the next few minutes? So again, so this is a daily chart. So basically, let's say right here, this candle, okay? This opens up at a flat bottom. If I'm off the daily, what I do, Mark, is I wait until it closes, because in theory, that could change throughout the day, right? And then at the open, which would be right here, of the next bar, that would be my entry. Okay, so whether this is daily, 5 minute, 1 minute, 233 tick, it doesn't matter. I don't usually enter on the first one because that could change in theory. The close of the bar, the next bar is where I enter. Okay, you can go in right away. Usually they don't change. Okay, sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works against you. All I recommend is be consistent with whatever you do. Okay, so I tend to enter the next bar at the open, no matter what time frame. Okay, make sense? Yeah, Alan wants to look at Mara. Let's take a look. Alan, what time frame? Daily? So daily, right? We had a nice short trigger right here. And here's the beauty. When you get it going from green, then yellow to red, and you get the flat top, that's like money in the bank, okay? I mean, we wish it was all guaranteed. But again, here's the beautiful thing, folks. Here's your quiz question for today, okay? When would you still be in this trade, yes or no, based off my rules? Yeah, right? You don't have a green dot yet, so we don't know when we would exit this trade, do we? Beth says, is this scan, the scans, so the 3 scans that you get, Beth, you are from in Thinkorswim. Yep. I walk you through, I have videos. It's very simple to load in the scan, okay? And then what you can do after you load it, you can change it to whatever you want, whether you have your personal watch list, whether you want to look at S&P 500, all stocks, all futures, whatever you want. You can adjust that and continue to scan, okay? Yep. Does that make sense, Beth? So this is a TOS. This is all TOS products, and that's a lifetime license. Yep. So for example, if we wanted to just check to see, okay, are there any, let's say we want to go to, sorry, I'm looking for my yellow to red, and I'm going to look for futures. I'm just going to change this then to futures. Any yellow to red futures off the D for daily, but again, you could change this. Sorry, you could change this to whatever time frame you want. Hit scan, and if it meets the criteria, it'll give it to us. It's still thinking. Okay, so no matching symbol. So then I can say, okay, well, what about a 4-hour scan? No symbol. Okay. So what that's saying is there's no, on the 4-hour, no yellow to red on the futures. Okay. Or I can go back here and say, okay, what about, bear with me, I hit the wrong thing. What about 5 minute? No matching. Okay. So on futures right now, there's no matching on those 3 different ones that I was looking for. You could go back to like weeklies. You can look for 5 minute. You can look for 4-hour triggers and that. So you can do that very quickly and then, take a look. Yep. Yep. All right. What other questions do we have, folks? Any other questions? Yeah, so if you don't have any of the Heikin-Ashi stuff for Thinkorswim and you want it, it's this link I'll put back into the chat. Okay, if you already have it and you just want the flat top, flat bottom scan only, I'll put that right below it. Okay. Best time frame, it depends on yours. It doesn't matter. I mean, my favorite trading style is off the daily. Okay. But, again, when you're looking at, again, a lot of you like, shorter time frame trading, like, let's say USO, for example, with oil being so volatile, right? You want to go to a 15-minute chart. Okay. So here's today. You see how you went back to green here, right? So your exit plan. Either if it rolls back over, you get 2 red, you're out. In this case, it didn't. Your exit was right here. Okay, so that's your profit. Okay, so it doesn't matter because the only difference is you're going to risk more on a daily versus a 5 minute, right? But the same rules you're still looking for the dot color change to get out. So the rules are identical no matter what time frame you use. Okay. So one question is, do I normally enter on 4 hours? I mean, if I'm in an aggressive trend, I will, yeah. Okay, but here's the thing, looking at something like USO, right? We have this, see how we had the green yesterday? Okay, so if you entered here, and then I love the flat bottom today on USO. But on a smaller time frame, you can also potentially get more false signals, right? So sometimes RSI will work out in your favor to go off smaller time frames to quote, get in earlier. All I recommend is whatever time frame you get in, get out on that same time frame. So if you get in on a 4, follow the rules on a 4 hour. Don't change to a weekly or a daily or a 5 minute to exit. Does that make sense? Okay, so whatever time frame you get in on is where you should look to exit. Yep. All right. Well, again, I'm always looking for feedback on Heikin-Ashi. So if you have any questions, you can call me. This is my direct cell. That's my email. And you can always go in here. I'll put in the, those of you that might not have it, my YouTube channel as well. You can always subscribe. Yeah, Beth, definitely. Yep. Yep. And then email me separate on that. Yep. Okay. So with that, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. I told you I would be an hour, and of course, we're right at an hour. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, that's my email and my cell phone. You can always text me as well with that. If you're in Canada, yeah, Thinkorswim right now, it's really odd, right? They're not supporting that, then you can't use that at this point. No. Hopefully they come back soon. I don't know why Thinkorswim doesn't support Canadians. Okay, with that, folks, again, thanks again. I wish you all the best in your trading, and have a great rest of the day. Take care now.